So, differentiate parallel teaching from differentiated split class team teaching. In parallel teaching, the team splits the class into two groups, and each teacher teaches the same information at the same time. Parallel teaching works well to differentiate instruction when the content being taught is particularly challenging. Parallel teaching is a collaborative teaching method where two teachers use their individual strengths and teaching styles to jointly plan a lesson, then divide the class in half and each teach the same lesson to the two groups at the same time. The class can be split randomly according to learning profiles. And teaching also allows for students with disabilities or learning needs to receive a higher level of support within group settings with a decreased level of social stigma that is sometimes associated with individual support. While the differentiated split class is the type of teaching that involves dividing the class into smaller groups according to their learning needs. Each educator provides the respective group with the instruction required to meet their learning needs. So, composite or split year classes are those in which students from two or more grade levels are put in the same classroom. For example, instead of pairing 25 students with one teacher, groups are configured according to need. Then, what is team teaching? So, team teaching can be defined as a group of two or more teachers working together to plan, conduct, and evaluate the learning activities for the same group of learners. Team teaching involves a group of instructors working purposely, regularly, and cooperatively to help a group of students of any age learn. Teachers together set goals for a course, design syllabus, prepare individual lesson plans, teach students, and evaluate the result. What is peer teaching? Not to be confused with peer instruction, a relatively new concept designed by Harvard professor Eric Mazur in the early 1990s, peer teaching is a method by which one student instructs another student in material on which the first is an expert and the second is a novice. Peer teaching is one of the best ways to master a particular subject. It is a method of teaching where a student instructs another student, wherein the former will be an expert and the latter a novice. So this paves the learner-student to learn without depending upon the teacher, and the teacher-student to revise the topic again, on the belief that to teach is to learn twice by Collins. Through the direct interaction between students, peer teaching promotes active learning as well as participation within themselves. Students, teachers enhance their own depth of knowledge in the topic by instructing others. So, there are also benefits of peer teaching. It enhances the student's level of creativity in expressing ideas as well as in grabbing new concepts, as the student may not feel hesitant to clear his queries. And also, peer teaching involves direct interaction between the learner, student, and the teacher-student. Then, it will ease the teacher's burden of responsibility because she is sharing her duties with her kids, which are very beneficial to them. But on the other side, it will increase the teacher's role in monitoring and administering the students. So, what are the types of peer teaching? There are 4 types of peer teaching. First type is one-way peer teaching. So this way of peer teaching provides only the trained tutor to teach, whereas the child with some kind of disability will remain passive. Then, the second is duplex or reciprocal peer teaching. This is a two-way or bidirectional teaching process where a student with a disability is paired with a student without disability to form a dyad or pair, and both of them will get chances to teach and learn. And the third is class-wide peer tutoring. This methodology of teaching involves grouping the entire class into pairs, and peers mentoring each other by giving prompts, error, correction, and helping each other. Then the last one is crisscross or cross-age peer tutoring. Cross-age peer teaching is a method of tutoring when children in different age groups and ability levels are paired together to work for a task. So in short, peer teaching is all about teaching peers and learning from their peers, which involves learners and teachers of the same or different age groups or levels of intelligence. This is assisted teaching helps the students to enhance their teaching skills. In addition to this, they get a platform to perform what they know, which will pave them to drive away from the stage fear within themselves. Explain one input, many activities, shared output as a strategy in teaching multi-grade classroom. In a classroom with good multi-grade practice, there will be lots of small group happening. It is one of the most useful strategies a multi-grade teacher can employ. A multi-grade teacher cannot teach the whole class in one group all day and meet the needs of individual students with their different levels of experiences, maturity, and abilities. So managing groups in the classroom, the teacher's role in managing groups in the classroom could be fit into three broad categories of activities. The teacher will supervise, mentor, and guide his or her students. And also, there is a pile of grouping strategy that is used when the teacher needs to teach new skills in their ability level group. This allows for slower or faster students to work outside of their grade level with children of the same ability and progress at their own pace of learning. So, in the pile of grouping strategy method, the teacher introduces a topic or demonstrates a new English or math topic to the whole class. Teacher peels off to the younger or slower group to the related activity, and then the teacher teaches some more direct instruction to the two older or faster group. Then the next or middle group can be peeled up and given instructions to their more complex tasks. The teacher can then introduce more advanced skills to the other group or the faster group. Then that is the time that one input, many activities, and shared output will happen or in a teaching strategy multi-grade classroom. So, give at least 5 characteristics of discussion method. So, participants present multiple points of view, respond to the ideas of others, and reflect on their own ideas in an effort to build their knowledge, understanding, or interpretation of the matter at hand. Discussions may occur among members of a dyad, small group, or whole class and be teacher lead or student lead. So, there are different types of discussions serve different purposes and are useful in different phases of a lesson or unit and have different characteristics depending on their purpose. So the first is discussion type summary. Building understanding discussion or purposes or goals, consensus discussion, and so what are the things to be considered in team planning? So first is you should provide future direction of the team, identify the desired performance levels of the team, and identify how this performance level will be achieved. And also, it is important to have a commitment, contribution, and communication, cooperation, conflict management, change management, and connections between students and teachers. So what would you consider when you are going to select a story or a tale? So there are many different ways to structure a story, but the three ingredients of a story must have a beginning, middle, and end. On a more granular level, a successful story will start with an inciting incident, lead into rising action, build to a climax, and ultimately settle into a satisfying resolution. What would you consider when telling a story? Every storytelling exercise should begin by asking, or you should start with a message, like who is my audience and what is the message I want to share with my students. Each decision about your story should flow from those questions, such as what is the core moral that I am trying to implant in my class, and how can I boil that down to a compelling single statement. Then, you should mind your own experiences. The best storytellers look to their own memories and life experiences for ways to illustrate their message. What events in your life make you believe in the idea you are trying to share? And also, don't make yourself the hero. That said, don't make yourself the star of your own story. A story about your life is not going to move your employees, says Morgan. You can be a central figure, but the ultimate focus should be open on the people you know, lessons you have learned, or events you have witnessed. And also, you should pay attention to your students or have eye contact with your students. Then what would you consider after telling a story? So, after telling a story, you are considered to write an interview or letter in which the character in the story asks the author a series of questions and reflects on how they feel about the story you have read or the moral lesson of the story. You should provide some reflections or essays that caters to their experiences and their learnings about the story you have read in the classroom.